Okay, year nine. So I've had quite a few requests for a full model answer, and I think that's a really, really good thing to ask for at this point in the term and just ahead of the assessment. So I've written up a response to one of the two assessment questions, and I've chosen the question, how does Doyle present Victorian expectations? Now, if you're going to be doing the Sherlock Holmes question, in next week's lesson on Tuesday, which is the lesson just before the assessment on Wednesday, I'm actually going to be giving you two options of lessons to complete. One specifically for the Sherlock question, and another one specifically for this question, the Victorian expectations. So I will include a model in the Sherlock lesson. So don't worry if you want to do that question, you will still see a model as well. And in this lesson today, you are going to decide which question that you are going to look at in the assessment and answer, because I'm setting you some planning tasks regarding that. The reason I've chosen this question for today is because if it was me, this is the question that I would answer. Not because it's a better question, but because I think this one is slightly more exploratory. It's a little bit more open and it allows me to choose my topic a bit more. So I guess my advice would be if you're feeling a bit more nervous about the assessment or if you struggle a little bit more with an extended piece of writing, the Sherlock Holmes question is a really good one because it's a little bit more focused on one character, one idea, and it also replicates the practice questions that we've been doing. So we've done two questions on a specific character. So how was Isa Whitney presented? How was Neville St. Clair presented? So if you did how was Sherlock Holmes presented, it would follow that same structure. This question, on the other hand, allows for lots more independence and you to sort of take it in your own direction. So it is quite challenging and it is hard. And I think when I go through this essay, you might find it a bit difficult. But that's deliberate. I'm trying to show you a really high quality example. And I will attach this to the Show My Homework post so you can look at this again and read it and take notes from it and have lots of time to engage with it other than just watching this video. So, how do I start my full 18 out of 18 response? It's one page long. So the full essay starts here and we go up to here. Okay, so it's one typed page and it's got about 4 paragraphs. So my first paragraph is, I would say, the most important one. I know that sounds a bit weird, but I think the first paragraph is a really good indicator of whether the person has thought through their essay, whether they've considered what they're going to write before they start writing. So what have I written? Well, in his short stories, Doyle explores Victorian expectations of reputation and status through his presentation of male characters. Sherlock Holmes is presented as a gentleman, a man of higher status who seeks truth and justice. Through his and Watson's critical and observant view of the world, we align with the analytical scrutiny of those characters who do not uphold the same values and who, under the surface, are revealed to be deeply flawed. Doyle appears to use his stories to mirror the ugly reality of the double lives of the gentlemen in the Victorian period and to cast a critical spotlight on the truth behind the facade. So, what I've done in this section is I've identified my argument. Okay, and I've been really, really clear, I think, about what my essay is going to be. That's what you do in your first paragraph. It's probably going to be 2, maybe 3 sentences, but those will be packed full of the really specific argument that you have. A couple of things that's important to do is obviously refer to the question. So I'm specifically referring to the Victorian expectations, and I refer to that twice in my thesis. It's twice in the argument in that first paragraph. But I also am specific about what I'm going to be talking about. So this is more important for this question than for the Sherlock Holmes question. So for instance, I'm going to focus on the presentation of male characters and their reputation and status. And I'm going to focus on the flaws and ugly reality of those male characters. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling my examiner, well, I'm going to talk about Victorian expectations specifically of gentlemen and I'm going to show how flawed and ugly these gentlemen really are beneath their masks of respectability. That's my focus for my essay. You will notice, I'm sure, that I've made use of Doyle's name lots of times, or sort of referred to him throughout. So we've got, he is the most important person in my essay. He's more important than Sherlock Holmes. He's more important than Neville. Doyle is the person I should refer to the most. So I've got his name specifically here, and I've got two writer's intentions verbs. I've got my critical spotlight and I've got my mirroring to really show the big idea behind my essay. So that's my argument.